Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer. I have an interesting gent from the UK.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
So Lee Parsons is in studio. He's from the United Kingdom as Ditto Music, the largest indie digital record and distribution label from the UK. What's up, Lee? How you doing?
Hey, good to be here, man.
Wonderful. And I'm happy that you're happy that I didn't make you do shots, because the last radio station you went to in Manila in the Philippines, they gave you some intoxicants.
Yeah, if you're listening at 88.3, I'm still recovering. But,
the only thing we're going to get you high on here is the music. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So tell me Ditto's story. I understand it's your brother and you. Yeah.
Yeah. So me and my brother were in a band. We actually started off as window cleaners.
You did, really?
Yeah.
Did you break a few bones in there?
Made a few hits in Smethwick in Birmingham. And we got dropped by a label. We're trying to set our own record label up. Took us a long time. Ended up putting the first ever digital top 40s into the charts in the UK, and that was it. 10 years has passed, and now we've got 150,000 artists. We've worked with everyone from Ed Sheeran to Prince to Sam Smith, and we're in Mumbai now with my main man G, working local artists.
Well, growing up in Birmingham, what kind of music were you guys listening to? One of my favorites is from Birmingham, which would be UB40, and of course Apache Indian, who's quite a star here. Steve, wonderful chap.
Yeah, I worked with Apache a few times.
Oh, yeah,
because we had the same manager. That's a guy called Steve Hughes in Birmingham. That's crazy, but he was getting less popular, and I was even less popular than him. But he was a nice guy. He had a bar in Birmingham called Apache's. Last time I heard of him.
Well, he was here. He's still trying to do some music. I have to say this, success comes and goes, but he's still a great bloke.
Yeah, man, he's awesome, man. And to have the hit he had. I mean, forget how big that song was. It was huge, man.
Chuck there. There was Arranged Marriage. Yeah, all
and
those
then,
hits.
What was the other one? A really, really big hit.
Wind Your Body.
That one.
Was on it.
Yeah, so
Boom Shakalak.
Boom Shakalak.
So you didn't answer my question. What were you growing up in Birmingham listening to?
Do you know what? UB40 were pretty huge. Birmingham's a really diverse cultural place, you know. We were just saying, I didn't know Zeus was big here.
Of course.
I've been in the studio with Zeus before, and he was like, I've sold 5 million albums in India. I was like, yeah, of course you have. Get us a cup of tea. So there's so much music in Birmingham, man. It's a great place to grow up.
So it was almost as though you were doing the grind yourself as musicians.
Yeah.
And you said you want to put your hand up and help other musicians.
The thing was, when we got dropped from the label, there was no way of releasing music. It took us 6 months to start a label and do all this kind of stuff, and was like, this is ridiculous. I even offered to pay a label to put my music out, and they said no, and that label went out of business. So the whole concept was, if an artist has another label, come to us and we will put the music out for you. And it was just an idea, you know, that sprouted from that.
And what are the kind of artists that you started off with initially? This is 2005, yeah?
Well, that was 2006, 2007 when we first started. To be fair, Sam Smith was one of our first artists we worked with, but he was terrible at the time. So it's like, because he hadn't really found his feet yet. And we were just saying before, we used to avoid his phone calls, and I just wish I'd been nicer to him now.
Lee Parsons from Ditto is here. We'll do some Shakin' Stevens, This Old House, and come right back. Shakin' Stevens, This Old House. Lee Parsons from Ditto is here. More conversation.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
So, man, let me understand this. How does it work for artists, people who want their music released with Ditto? Do you offer certain packages? Do you get onto the website? Is there an app? Give us the mechanics of it.
Okay, so if you're an artist and you've made music, the first thing you do is go to the website and upload it, and then we can put you out to all the stores like iTunes and Spotify and Savin and all the worldwide stores. We also listen to every piece of music that comes through. So we have teams in 20 different countries. Obviously, we've got a team here, and if we think it's plausible that we can do something else with it, then we'll get involved more of a hands-on way.
So is it what, Ditto or Ditto Music? What's the website? Just give it
DittoMusic.com.
DittoMusic.com. Go on there, and there are various packages for artists.
Yeah, for sure. You'll know exactly what to do.
Yeah, and in India, artists are very, very paranoid about royalties, because most of the time they don't happen.
They don't get them.
So what is your format, and how's the way you go about that?
We're completely transparent. So as soon as you get paid, you get paid monthly. Everything's reported into your account. And like I said, I know it's a problem in India, but it's a problem all over the world, and it's mainly because major labels haven't been treating artists very well. So obviously, because we started on the opposite end of that spectrum, we want to make sure people get paid. So as soon as you sell a song, it's right there in your account and you get paid for it. 100% your royalties.
Lovely. So it's the music version of an Uber taxi service.
I get half their money, then I'll be happy.
Let's come back to some of the artists. You're talking about Sam Smith and how you could kick yourself that you weren't answering the phone enough when Sam was working with you guys. I'm given to understand that a small little artist called Ed Sheeran was also on your
Yeah, he was also on the roster. We actually liked him, but I just didn't think he'd get as big as he was, and it's so hard to predict, The one thing I'll say about Ed Sheeran was he was doing 300 shows a year, from when he was 14 years old, 300 at least. So this show he had, when I've seen him, play to 3 people, when it was the same show, he'd split the room up, he'd make them, when he plays to 20,000 people, he would still be playing to 2 people and be happy. I think he was just that good of a performer. So, fair play to him for what the success he's had.
Yeah, and you know what they say, Lee, about even the Beatles, the fact that they went, in a nightclub and still played through stripper routines meant they just got better at their job.
Exactly.
And you day after day, night after night. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. So, who's the new talent that we can look forward to from Ditto's stable? I mean, people you're excited by, who you've signed on, who have the potential to be the next Sam Smith or Ed Sheeran.
You put me on the spot now. We've got a girl called Starling who's got a song out next week. That's one of our priorities. There's a band called the Brummies from Nashville who got a song out with Casey Musgrave, who's huge. There's so much, man, worldwide. I wish I could name off some local artists, but
our mutual friend Gotham sent to me Tash Sultana.
Oh, Tash Sultana, yeah. She's actually not with us now, but we worked with her for a few years, and she's absolutely massive.
Dave, Dodie, AJ Tracy, Tash Sultana. Those are some of the big names in there.
Yeah, huge.
How do you work in terms of distribution? I mean, are you meeting the Spotifys and the iTunes of the world on a regular basis?
Every week. So even right now, someone's just flown to Singapore to have his meeting with him for Asia. We'll have a local meeting every week, and then I think once a month each person in each country goes in and they literally have an hour with Spotify to play them our priorities. Spotify and Apple have really taken a lot more interest in companies like us because they know, we're gonna give them the next hits, and that helps their company. So the music industry's really changed for the better over the last 5 years.
Lovely. Messages and back with Ali from Ditto. Don't go anywhere.
94.3 Radio 1.
Sting and Cheb Mammy, Desert Rose, Lee Parsons from Ditto is here. It's one of the largest indie digital record and distribution labels from the UK, and some exciting times up ahead.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
Radio 1.
So, man, what are you doing in India, and what do you hope to create here?
Firstly, best traffic in the world. So
that's the reason you came all the way from the UK.
There's so much good local, non-Bollywood content here. We've signed, already about 100,000 tracks. So trying to find international exposure for that content, I think, is important. Helping people make more money. Also, transparency, as I've learned, is can be a big issue in India from labels. So I think it's about time people got paid properly for their content also.
And you think that the world is ready for content that's coming out of India? Because I'm given to understand that your content or stuff that you work with is not necessarily in the English language, right?
Yeah.
It can be in any language.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So talk about that, about how people are ready and open and able to listening to Indian artists around the world, whether it's Europe or the UK or the US.
I mean, the first thing you have is that there are so many Indian people around the world now in different countries, and they're using platforms like Spotify and iTunes, and they're getting access to content they wouldn't have been able to get access to 10 years ago without being able to track it down. And because of that, you'll see the last few years we've seen a huge market of Latam, like reggaeton music, come into the UK market, and a lot of that's Spanish. But the UK, they're just going with it. So the more kind of collaborations and artists working together from different continents, we can do, the better. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. That's our plan anyway.
Yeah, and Lee, have things changed? Because till a few years ago it was about radio airplay and whether the song had the right hook or not.
Yeah.
Are people, their listening standards or tastes or patterns any different when it comes to online, or is it just the same?
Actually, no. I mean, Spotify, who are probably the most important tastemaker now, they measure skip rates on songs. So if your song gets skipped after 20 seconds, you move down the playlist. And the most simple way of saying it. So actually, if you're creating a song now, you should still be creating a radio hit. People's ears have, I think, got even lazier because we have to listen to so much music now. So if we don't hear it after the first 5 seconds, they can switch over.
Let's talk a little more about your high-selling artists. You're still working with Carol Conca, yeah?
Carol Conca is one of our huge Brazilian artists. Yeah, she's an amazing female rapper out there.
So who knows? Some of you could be the next Carol Conca, and Lee Parsons could be saying in some part of the globe, so and so from India.
Come on, make me some money. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Get at me.
And a bit about Stormzy, yeah.
Yeah, Stormzy's huge. He just won a Brit Award in England. We worked with him from his first single that did over 1 million sales. So yeah, man, we've literally worked with him from since he was living with his mum in London.
And there's this artist called Dave, and there's some interesting playlisting case studies that you've done based on how his work has moved.
So with him, we were able to utilise the worldwide teams we got him on the front of the rap playlist in Brazil, which was over millions of streams. He ended up getting on a feature with he didn't get on a feature with Drake. Drake featured on his song because he was doing so well. That had about 50 million streams. So Dave is probably the biggest artist in the UK now, I would say, independently.
And how many offices around the world, Lee, for Ditto, and how much you are looking to expand it?
We've got 20 at the moment, and I'd say I think we'll be in most countries over the next few years. At the moment, I'm just trying to concentrate on, developing the markets that we're in, but there's so many amazing expanding markets. Everywhere from Peru to Chile we're in, and they've all got their own little genres and segments.
Have you heard a bit of Indian music, of sounds of non-Bollywood Indian music that has interested you, caught your attention? Yeah. I
mean, I'm from Birmingham, so I do know a lot of the traditional music and the Bollywood films and stuff. And like I said, I've been in the studio with a lot of the Indian artists over the years. But I love the culture, man, because I've grown up around it.
Lovely. It's Andy Grammer, Fine By Me, back with Lee Parsons from Ditto. Don't go anywhere. Actor singer Andy Grammer, Fine By Me. Lee Parsons from Ditto Music is here. They kicked off in 2005, 150,000 plus artists across the globe, almost 20 offices, and they pay out to artists monthly, which is a fantastic thing. More conversation.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
Radio 1.
I was reading somewhere, it's a very disturbing fact, that the sale of guitars is going down globally, man. Kids, that whole concept of a kid with an acoustic guitar in a high school or middle school getting all the kids, girls if he was male, getting all the boys if she was female, is going out through the door because kids are opening their laptops and producing music.
Yeah.
And look at the David Guettas and the Axwell and Ingrossos of the world making mainstream music now. What are trends that you're finding musically across the planet?
Obviously consumption of music is completely changing now, and I think what I've been to most countries now, and I've seen where they are on the map of how their music's going. So India at the moment, I think, is only 3% streaming, but if you look at the royalty revenues in the US, it's nearly 60%, and that will all change. Eventually everyone in India will just be on streaming, but it's further behind some countries and it's further ahead of the other ones. So I don't know if kids are going to ever stop playing instruments. There's always going to be people who want to play music, but obviously consumption, money, financial things of the music industry, has changed over the last 10 years and will continue to change.
And in terms of album listening, I mean, back in the day, everybody used to listen to entire albums. Are we seeing a break away from that and people just consuming singles? Would you say that is another trend that you're seeing?
We were just talking about this, weren't we? That Pink Floyd tried to stop people listening to their album without a track, but that would not happen now. Most people listen to a playlist and they don't actually know what artists they're listening to. They just literally listen to one song after the other or after the other. So to make someone listen to an album these days is practically impossible. You know how long it is to get kids off their phones or get them to actually sit down and focus on something. It's not the same as it used to be. So unless, I think, one thing is put a lot of time into your music, make sure people want to listen to your whole album. But record labels just want a hit. They just want one song that's a hit to sell another hit. They're not trying to sell an album off one song anymore. So it's all changed. But I said for musicians, you've just got to make sure every song is a radio track.
Okay, for all of you aspiring musicians, irrespective of what language you're singing in, this is the website if you want to get your music out to the world at large.
www.dittomusic.com, or you can hit up Gautam at dittomusic.com.
Now you're going to go slow on that again.
Okay,
the website and the
I'm going to
email
get his
ID.
email address out because I've done all the work this week. So if you've got any music, send it to Gautam, Gautam, at dittomusic.com.
And the website is?
DittoMusic.com.
That's DITTO music.com. Yeah, so go, and they distribute all this new music to major online stores. He was just talking about how they're working with the iTunes and the Spotifys of this world. Fabulous stuff. A last leg of conversation up ahead with Lee Parsons. You don't want to go anywhere. My name is Hrishikesh. See you in a bit.
94.3 Radio 1.
Enrique Iglesias, Sean Paul, Subimela Radio, Lee Parsons from Ditto Music. They support their artists, music artists, with worldwide distribution, branding, playlisting, press, radio, social. Last leg of conversation with him.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
Radio 1.
So, mate, let's talk about the blockchain format as regards music, and how you guys have that modus operandi.
Well, blockchain's going to change everything. As we were just talking about, it's a new internet. It's going to decentralize everything, our information, our data. And what it will mean for artists is that if you make a song and there's 4 people on the song, and that will go into a smart contract, then you literally can't tamper with it. And I think the problem the labels have had, well, not the problem they've had, I don't know if you know, but Warner Brothers were claiming the rights to Happy Birthday for 100 years, even though they didn't own it, and making millions per year because no one checked it. On the blockchain, once it's on there, it's impossible to tamper with. So for us, we're working with a company in South Korea called Eden Chain. We're building our own blockchain with them, and the idea is that from now on there will be total transparency. Artists can get paid. If there's 5 people on a song, they will get paid. If there's a producer, they will get paid. If it gets played on radio, in Tutankhamun and wherever they will get paid for it, and it's gonna decentralize everything. I'm really excited about it. There's also a company called Zebi in India who are a mate that I also invested in. So shout out to those guys if you're listening.
Lovely. Now let's talk about radio. I mean, here's Norway. It's pulled the plug on mainstream radio and it's just online radio. Everybody's very buoyant about online streaming and saying, that's the present and that's the future. In the UK, radio is still bustling,
it's still
man.
big, man.
It's still big.
Yeah.
So what do you project for radio, for mainstream radio, for people in their cars and on their phones listening to the mainstream radio stations of the world?
Yeah, I don't think people want to listen to 100 songs every day without any human interaction, and I think we will always need a communication and a voice, to listen to in the morning to for our mood. So I don't know much about the Norway story, but I definitely would not want to just completely go just to music without radio. I don't think that would work.
Good. So
you
believe in the power of radio. Awesome. Lee, thanks for rolling by, buddy. And future plans for India, man. Yeah, let's sign off with that.
Gonna find some artists, break them internationally. Just the small stuff. The Indian Sam Smith, please.
The Indian Sam Smith. That sounds delightful. Have a good one, mate. Cheers.
Thank you so much, man.
Here's the Backstreet Boys. New one is called Don't Go Breaking My Heart.